They say every town has a house no one talks about. In the small town of Millbrook, that house stood at the very end of Ashwood Lane. Its paint had long peeled away. The windows were boarded, and a dying oak tree leaned over the roof like a crooked finger. For decades, people said you could hear whispers coming from inside, especially after midnight. Whispers that didn't sound quite human. No one lived there anymore. But one night, someone returned. Chapter 1. The Return. Sarah Collins hadn't planned to come back to Millbrook. Too many memories. Too many ghosts. But when her aunt passed away and left her the family property, Sarah had no choice. She was broke, recently divorced, and living in a one-room apartment in the city. So she packed her bags, drove 6 hours, and arrived at dusk to that house, her childhood home, the Whispering House. She remembered flashes, her mother screaming in the night, her father leaving without a word, the smell of something burning. The rest was a blur, like her mind had locked it away for a reason. The front door creaked open with a single push. The air inside was thick and cold, as if the house had been holding its breath for years. Her phone lost signal the moment she stepped in. Chapter 2. The First Night. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. Every sound, the ticking pipes, the shifting wood, felt alive. Around 2:37 a.m., she heard it. A whisper, soft, gentle, coming from the upstairs hallway. She sat up in bed, heart pounding. At first, she thought it was the wind, but then it came again. Clearer this time. Sarah, come upstairs. Her breath caught. She recognized that voice. It was her mother's. But her mother had died 20 years ago. Sarah grabbed her flashlight and crept into the hallway. The whisper led her to her old bedroom, the one with the yellow wallpaper and broken toys still on the shelves. She pushed it slowly. Inside, the room was empty, except for the mirror on the wall, a mirror that hadn't been there before. Chapter 3. The Mirror. The glass was fogged, as if someone had been breathing on the other side. When she wiped it clean, for just a second, she saw something move. A shape, small, pale, watching her from inside the reflection. Then the whisper came again, right next to her ear. You shouldn't have come back. She screamed and stumbled backward, knocking the lamp to the floor. When the light flickered, the mirror was empty again. Sarah didn't sleep for the rest of the night. Chapter 4. The Journal. The next morning, she found an old wooden box under her bed. Inside, a leather-bound journal belonging to her mother. The first page read, "The voices began when Sarah turned 6. They whispered to her at night. They say they want her back." Page after page, her mother had written about the house watching them, and about something she called the Hollow One, a shadow in the walls that mimicked people's voices. The last entry was dated the night before her mother died. It ended mid-sentence. "It's here again. It knows she's alone. I have to." The rest was scratched out violently with ink. Chapter 5. The Hollow One. That evening, Sarah heard footsteps upstairs while she was in the kitchen. Slow, heavy, but the house was empty. She climbed the stairs trembling and saw the mirror again. Now standing in the middle of the hallway, its reflection showed the entire corridor, except there was something wrong. In the mirror, a figure stood behind her, tall, faceless, its head tilted slightly to the side. Sarah turned around. No one there. When she looked back, the figure in the mirror had moved closer, closer. until its head was almost touching the glass. She ran downstairs, locked herself in the car, and stayed there until dawn. But in the reflection of the car window, she swore she saw it again, standing on the porch, watching. Chapter 6. The Voice Recordings. The next day, Sarah called her friend Daniel, a podcaster who specialized in paranormal stories. He agreed to come and spend a night recording audio evidence. They set up voice recorders in every room. At midnight, they started to hear faint whispers, captured on every device. One of them said, "Help me." Another whispered, "She belongs here." And then, faintly, Daniel's voice, even though he hadn't spoken, repeated, "She belongs here." When Daniel checked the recorder's time code, his face turned pale. The whisper had been recorded 5 minutes before they even entered the house. Chapter 7. The Basement Door. Around 3 a.m., they found a locked door behind the old wallpaper in the hallway. Daniel pried it open with a crowbar. Behind it, a staircase leading down into the basement. The air was freezing. Their flashlights flickered. The walls were covered in drawings, dozens of them, all of the same figure, a tall shadow with no face, watching a little girl sleep. At the center of the room stood another mirror. This one was cracked, and behind the cracks, something moved. Daniel leaned closer, whispering, "Are you seeing this?" A hand reached out from the crack, thin, gray, trembling, and grabbed him. Chapter 8. The Thing in the Mirror. Daniel screamed as the gray hand yanked him toward the glass. The mirror's surface rippled like water, and for a heartbeat, Sarah saw his face inside it, pounding, begging for help. Then he was gone. The mirror went still. Only his flashlight remained on the dusty floor, spinning slowly until it stopped. Pointing at her feet, Sarah stood frozen, unable to breathe. Then the whisper came from inside the mirror. "You brought him here. Now you'll stay too." Her own reflection blinked, but she hadn't. And then it smiled. She ran upstairs, slamming the basement door shut and barricading it with a chair. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely dial 911. The line connected, but all she heard was her own voice, whispering, "It's too late." The call cut off. Chapter 9. The Town's Secret. At sunrise, Sarah drove to the local library, the only place still open that early. She searched through old newspapers, desperate for answers. She found an article dated October 13th, 1989. Local family disappears. Father found dead in mirror room. The photo showed her house, the same house she'd inherited. Another clipping a few years later. Child survivor placed in foster care. Memory loss reported. Her name was at the bottom, Sarah Collins. She dropped the paper, trembling. Her childhood memories, the screaming, the smoke, weren't nightmares. They were real. Her father had tried to burn the house down, but someone had stopped him. Chapter 10. Return to the basement. That night, she came back armed with salt, candles, and a hammer. If the mirror took Daniel, she would take him back. The air grew colder as she approached the basement. The whispers started again. Dozens of voices overlapping, crying, laughing, calling her name. "Sarah, come home. Join us." The door creaked open on its own. The basement looked different now. Endless, like a tunnel of mirrors reflecting forever. In each reflection she saw herself, but not quite. Some older, some twisted, some screaming silently. And in the farthest reflection, she saw Daniel. He was standing still, pale, his eyes completely white. "You shouldn't have come back," he whispered. But his lips didn't move. The mirrors around him began to pulse like veins, and from the cracks, hundreds of gray hands started crawling out. Chapter 11. The Hollow One Speaks. Sarah smashed the first mirror with a hammer. The sound was like thunder. Black liquid spilled out, thick as oil, smelling of rot. The voices screamed all at once, shaking the walls. Then the figure appeared. Tall, faceless, made of the same darkness. Its voice wasn't loud. It whispered directly into her head. "You were born here. You never left. You think you did." She stumbled backward. "That's not true. I left this place." "Did you?" "Look closer." The creature's hand pointed toward a broken mirror. In the reflection, she wasn't holding a hammer. She was standing inside the mirror, looking out. Her body froze. The realization hit like ice. She'd never really escaped. The house hadn't let her go. The Sarah outside, the one who thought she grew up, left, lived a whole life, was just a reflection, walking in the world while she remained trapped inside. Chapter 12. The Last Reflection. The whispers turned into laughter. The mirrors flickered like TV screens, showing her memories. Her apartment, her ex-husband, her city life. All distorted, melting away. "You live only because I reflect you," said the Hollow One. But every reflection fades. It reached for her. She raised the hammer one last time and screamed, smashing the mirror before it could touch her. The world shattered. Glass, light, and silence. Epilogue. A month later, the Maple County Police entered the abandoned house after reports of lights flickering inside. They found no one, only a dusty recorder lying near a broken mirror. On it was a single voice, a woman's, whispering softly, "If you find this, don't look in the mirror." The recording ends with faint breathing. Then a second voice, identical to hers, whispering back, "But I already am." The tape clicks. Silence.